what you want. I call it messing with the kid. Go down and kid plays hot, and hot don't pay. I say what I mean what I say. Yeah, yeah. Tell me what you did. Call it what you want. I call it messing with the kid. How about you guys back here? You want to mess with the kid? And you guys, eh? How about you people out there? You want to mess with the kid?
Ball hit well, left field. This ball is out of here. Grand slam home run for Gary Carter. Gary Carter matching Coleman's speed with his equipment on. I love it.
You call it what you want. I call it messing with the kid.
In 1985, there was no messing with the Mets either. And by the middle of September, the battle lines for the Eastern Division fight were clearly drawn. And as the two opposing generals looked on, it didn't take too long for the first shot to be fired. If this was going to be a war, then the Mets were clearly not about to back down as Howard Johnson led the first assault.
It's going, gone, goodbye. A grand slam home run.
Johnson's first inning blast came on the heels of the George Foster skirmish and gave the Mets a lead they never relinquished. But while it looked to many that the Cardinals had indeed been laid to rest, there turned out to be plenty of fight left in the Redbirds as John Tudor pitched a shutout the next night to beat the Mets 1-0. But the next day, the Mets doubled their assault. Led by Darryl Strawberry, the Mets jumped out to a quick 6-0 lead. But the Cardinals came back strong. Finally, in the ninth, Willie McGee tied the game at 6. But as Davy Johnson looked on in the bottom of the inning, Keith Hernandez came up with Mookie Wilson on second.
Base hit left field. Here comes Wilson. Coleman can't come up with it. Mets win 7-6. The Mets are in first place by a game.
Unfortunately for the Mets, their short lead over the Cards proved to be short-lived, as St. Louis won 14 of its next 16 games to take a 3-game lead over the Mets with just 6 games to play. But 3 of those games were with the Cardinals in St. Louis, where the Mets faced the unenviable task of sweeping the Cards at home. The 95 wins the Mets had up to this point were virtually meaningless. One more loss and they were through.
It's like a World Series atmosphere, to say the least.
These teams playing for all the marbles. You'll see that throughout the course of this series.
In the series' first game, all eyes were on pitchers Ron Darling and John Tudor, and both were more than ready to meet the challenge. Especially Darling, who just might have saved the best game of his life for the biggest game of his life. Darling matched shutout innings with Tudor all night long, and when they both finally called it a night, Davy Johnson brought out his big gun.
The Mets have hit 36 home runs in the last 34 games, and they could use one tonight. Oh, baby, that one is way out of here. The Mets lead it 1-0 in the 11th inning as Darryl Strawberry crushes one.
Strawberry's titanic home run propelled the Mets to a 1-0 win. But the fight wasn't over just yet. The next night, Dwight Gooden was his typical self, keeping the Cardinals off balance most of the evening as the Mets took a seemingly safe lead over St. Louis going into the bottom half of the 9th inning.
And now the bases loaded with Tommy Herr, the batter, and Tommy Herr with 108 runs batted in on the season. A two-base hit, and McGee could score the tying run. And we go again to the pressure.
Fastball line to Backman, and the Mets win it.
2 down and 1 to go. The Mets were now just a win away from tying up the pennant race. But the Mets never reached the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow as the Cardinals shot down their pennant hopes by winning the final game of the series 4-3. Still, the Mets obviously had nothing to be ashamed of in St. Louis. Never once did they give up. Never once did they surrender. And that spirit of defiance was recognized by the Shea Stadium fans on the next to last day of the year, when the Mets were saluted, even as their pennant dreams ended.
Normally not a moving situation, but these fans on their feet. Well, that's great to see. Gotta love it. How many standing ovations do you see when a team's eliminated?
The next day, the Mets saluted their 2.75 million fans for setting an all-time New York City team attendance record, recognizing just how much their support meant to this fine young team. A fitting conclusion to a year filled with memories that will last forever.
Where the Mets are still the talk of the town. First up, a salute to an award winner, Dwight Gooden, the youngest ever to win a Cy Young. And in '86, he'll have some help from pitcher Bob Ojeda, who comes to New York from Boston. And infielder Tim Tuffle, who'll help out Wally Backman at second. Doug Sis will be back in '86. So will Bruce Perini. And Mookie Wilson, too, who just might lead the Mets to the pennant. That's it for this year, folks. Watch us in '86 and see baseball like it used to be.
1985 was truly a year to remember for the Mets. They played hard every day and kept the vow they made to their fans at the beginning of the year that they would never, never surrender. 47 as a right-handed or against right-handed pitching. Dykstra, 21 stolen bases. Not the threat Raines is, but certainly a threat. Backman had an idea about bunting. Wallach in on the grass. Fitzgerald out to talk to Yeomans as the fastball was high. Bend your back, stay on top.
Nice and easy now. It's like a broken record. But
those are generic terms that catchers tell pitchers. Sometimes you can't think of anything else to say.
Probably don't worry too much about the guy at first base now. Don't forget your hitter.
Yeah. And all of those things he didn't even think about until you said it. He fouls it back 1-1. 1-1 to Wally Backman. 1-0. Montreal on top. Keith Hernandez on deck. Yeomans over his last 10 ball games has thrown a 1-hitter, a 2-hitter, and a 3-hitter.
And he's won 10 of his last 13 decisions, Timmy.
Strike on the corner, 1-2.
Duke Snyder was saying if it wasn't for Yeomans in his position in the pitching staff, he doesn't know what would have happened with the Expos during the month of July. He said he was their stellar performer all through the month.
Guys, the Expos have won only 4 games out of 15 since the All-Star break. Fastball is low. The Mets, on the other hand, have won 7 of 14, but while playing 700 or 500 balls, 7-7, they have picked up 2.5 games on the Expos in the process. 2-2. Pretty good career average, huh? Wally batting .400 against Montreal this year, 8 for 20.
And between him and Lenny Dykstra, I don't know of any club in baseball who have had two guys who have gotten on more consistently.
There goes Dykstra. Fastball is low. The throw safe at second base. An example of what you were talking about.
Here you're going to see the 22nd stolen base for Lenny Dykstra. He's only been thrown out 5 times. And Fitzgerald's throw way high and late. You see Lenny gets a good jump. And this time he kind of slides early enough. Sometimes he really slides too late. And I think everyone's concerned that he's going to really hurt his hands a little bit. Even that's a little bit late.
Logical concern. We've seen him many times sliding right on that bag. Backman does the job. A 2-hopper to Foley at second. Dykstra moves to third. 1 away. Fine job by Wally Backman.
The little things in baseball are the things that win ball games. There's a fastball out over the plate. Wally Backman pulls the ball to give Lenny Dykstra a chance to be on third base with less than 2 outs. And a sacrifice fly from Keith Hernandez can score him.
Darryl Strawberry getting some lumber. Davey Johnson looking on, and Keith Hernandez the batter, batting .286.
Keith has struggled heavily against the Montreal Expos, Tim. He's only had 2 hits and 25 at bats this year.
Fastball is low to Hernandez. 1-0.
It just seems like Keith's going to start getting hot somewhere along the line here. He's been struggling for him too long, and he gets one of those hot streaks going. He just seems like he can't make it out.
1-1 to Hernandez. Got out of the gate in a hurry this year. In April and May, he was batting .338, challenging the leader in the National League for the batting crown. Those early crowns don't count, though. Fouls it away. 1-2. Even though that's how you win. When one guy falls off, the next guy picks you up. And as you can see, the Mets have not fallen off in any month.
No, they certainly haven't. It's been about as consistent a season as I've ever seen any ball club have. See some signs there from Buck Rogers, the manager of the Expos.
Little looper over third base hit. Hernandez. Dykstra scores. Hernandez, a big turn at first. RBI number 43 for Keith, and we're tied at 1 here in the first inning.
Well, this is the kind of hit that might get a hitter started, Timmy. Yeomans makes a good pitch, off-speed pitch. Keith swings at it. It's a little cue ball out there. And Lenny Dykstra scores. There's another shot of it. When that ball really hit some action on it. Woo. If I get that much action on my ball tomorrow on the golf course, I'll be in good shape.
You'll be off the green is what you'll be.
You're right.
Gary Carter pops right side in foul territory. Krenchicki over in a couple of rows back. 0-1 to Carter, who's batting .245, 17 home runs. And he's third in the National League in RBIs behind Dave Parker and the leader, Mike Schmidt. Schmidt was 76, Parker was 74. One and one.
Gary Carter coming off 3 hits on Wednesday night. Trying to get his big bat hot.
Fouls another one away. 1-2.
It's funny this year, Tim. Gary does not seem like he has had one of those real hot streaks of his so far this year. And they have 73 RBIs without seeing him go through one of those dominating periods. It bodes well for what kind of second half he can have. I mean, if he really puts together one of his home run streaks that he has not done so far this year, he could put some really big numbers on the board.
There's a young man. When you look at him, you think of big numbers. Darryl Strawberry, as Carter goes down on strikes.
Strikeout number 1 for Floyd Yeomans. And there are 2 outs with the batter Strawberry.
Yeomans makes a fine pitch here. Fastball down and in. It's one of those pitches when you're hitting, you just got to take the lumber back. He beat you.
Strawberry, 16 home runs on the year. Kojak lives. 0-1. Of course, that's in reference to Darrell's new hairdo, or as we said earlier, lack thereof. Talked to him before the game. He almost appeared sorry that he had it done. Swinging a miss at that backup slider. 0-2.
There was so much fanfare in the media over it.
Was there ever?
I think he initially intended to have his hair grow out in a certain way, and the only way to do it was to shave it down.
Start from scratch, no pun intended. Fastball gets him. Second consecutive strikeout for Yeomans. But the Mets on the board, 1 run on 1 hit. They strand Hernandez. So after 1, it's 1-1. And we'll be back after this word from Purolator Courier. Second inning, he gave up 1 earned run in the top of the first. It's a 1-1 ball game, and to lead it off, the Expos' Tim Wallach. Wallach batting .259 on the year. Won his first Gold Glove last year. Good power, 16 home runs. Dwight Gooden knows that now, doesn't he?
Yes, as much as Dwight dominated Tim Wallach in the early going, in that one game in Montreal, he hit 2 home runs and drove in 4 runs. Said he had cut his swing down, decided he was just going to try to make some contact.
See if he does that tonight, 1-0.
I think that's been one of the things the hitters have had to do against Dwight Gooden. I think he's dominated so many hitters so long that they've decided, geez, I have to do something different.
Pop fly could be playable. Hernandez over near the stands, and it's back several rows. 1-1 to Tim Wallach.
Those 2 hits and 4 RBIs brought Tim Wallach's record against Dwight Gooden to 3 for 24 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. So you can see prior to that one game, he really struggled against Dwight Gooden, and Dwight Gooden struck him out a lot.
He was 1 for 19 and it struck out 12 times. His first 19 at bats. He fouls this one back, 1-2.
You see the Montreal Expos started off 500, had a very fine May, decent June. July has just been very, very tough on them. And we're coming into the dog days of August.
Indeed we are. August 1. And so did Gooden. 2 strikeouts for Gooden. 1 out here in the second.
See Dwight Gooden over the top. Good fastball coming back. Tim Wallach could not handle that pitch. He was trying to handle the whole plate, trying to protect inside, it looked like.
You do that with 2 strikes? You never did.
No, I tried to protect outside. I'd let them try to jam me if they wanted. If you're getting jammed, you have a chance to hit the ball. If you're looking inside and they throw, especially a Dwight Gooden fastball outside, you're just beat. And that's what happened there.
Wayne Krenchicki has done his share of beating on Dwight Gooden. He's 8 for 19 lifetime. He's hit him well. Fouls it back, 1-1.
8 for 19, 421 average. He has not hit a home run against Dwight. He has 1 RBI. And since Andres Galarraga has been on a disabled list, Krenchicki has been playing first base on a regular basis.
The last 5 ball games, Krenchicki was telling me that he's had a hit his first time up, and that's been it. 1 for 2, 1 for 3, 1 for 4, which will keep you where you are, but when you bat in 250, no way to rise, right?
Well, especially when you get that first hit in the ball game, you always feel like this is going to be my night. I'm going to have a good one. And when you don't get another hit, it is very disappointing.
Yeah, it is. Slightly open stance, 1-2 to Wayne.
He has certainly changed his stance a few times during the course of his career.
Curveball fouled away. So we'll do it again. Krenchicki from Trenton, New Jersey, right down the road.
The older I got, Tim, in my years in baseball, the more I tried to get up on the plate. And I did open my stance. I tried to angle. I wasn't so open, but I tried to angle so my hips would be very, very free to get out of there.
What do you mean angle?
Well, instead of, you see how his feet are on the ground down here? I was kind of like that with my feet, except I really didn't open my stance like he did.
Got him with a fastball on the corner. Strikeout number 3, 3 in a row for Gooden. 2 outs here in the second.
Here's another good fastball by Dwight Gooden. This one going away from the hitter. And some pitches like the Dwight Gooden of old.
Let me see if I understand that. In other words, your hips were open, but your feet were almost closed, or at least straight away. Is that correct?
I actually, Timmy, just angled my body differently. I kept almost the same stance. I just faced the pitcher a little bit differently. I didn't change the position of my feet. I just made it easier and gave my hips a freer chance of popping open, because when you start moving up and in, they're going to try to jam you.
Here's Mike Fitzgerald. What a job he's done, not only for the Expos, but against the Mets. Batting .280 on the season. Against the Mets, he's 10 for 19 on the year. He has been wailing on New York pitching. 1-1.
And Timmy, Mike Fitzgerald has just gotten back in the lineup on Wednesday, too. His knee has been giving him trouble. He missed some games from it. And just got, as I said, back into the lineup on Wednesday night. And I guess he felt like the New York Mets were coming to town, or they were coming to New York, and he swung the bat so well he wanted in there.
1-1 to Mike Fitzgerald, who homered in his first major league at bat. At the time, he was the 48th player to do so. And earlier this year, Will Clark of the San Francisco Giants became the 53rd player to homer in his first major league at bat. 2-1 to Fitzgerald. Fly ball right side. Could be playable for Strawberry. A long way to run, but it's foul and he can't get to it. 2-2.
It's that time of night where it's a little difficult to see the ball. And it looked like Strawberry had a little trouble picking that ball up. Right at the end, it looked like he wasn't really on it. You see some people across the road a piece. The walkway into the subway. That's what you call the cheap seats. Doesn't cost anything.
That might be the only way you're going to see a game tonight, inside the stadium or in the periphery of the stadium. Those folks, of course, right outside the stadium. It's a full house here at Shea.
Curveball, see you later. 4 straight strikeouts for Gooden. Speaking of the Dwight Gooden of old, it's 1-1 after 1.5, and we'll be back after this word from Budweiser.
Continues as the first place Mets battle it out with the Montreal Expos. Join us for all the action live from Shea Stadium Sunday afternoon at 1:30.
All right, I'm Tim McCarver along with Rusty Staub and Steve Zabriskie. As Ralph Kiner, our colleague, is, as we speak, up in Cooperstown, New York. Straw on that berry, huh? Ralph probably watching the ball game tonight from Cooperstown. He's up at the induction ceremonies as the induction this weekend of Willie McCovey, Ernie Lombardi, and Bobby Dorr as the players. And they brought the writer of the Cincinnati Post, ex-writer of the Cincinnati Post, still writes a few articles, Earl Lawson, to be inducted also. Here's Kevin Mitchell. Takes a fastball inside. Kevin batting .325 on the year, and certainly one of the candidates for Rookie of the Year. 1-1 to Kev. Line drive hard to right. Dawson back. He can't get to it. Mitchell will have at least a double. He's going to try for 3. Dawson can't pick it up, and Mitchell's at third with nobody out.
They're probably going to call this a double with an error on Andre Dawson. He had a little trouble picking that ball up, Tim. And here's Kevin Mitchell. Just been hot all year long. He just put a top hand on that ball. Andre Dawson didn't know which way to go. Now he's going to try to pick it up. He's going to miss it. He dropped that ball, and Kevin Mitchell goes on to third base. He got all turned around and just missed that ball. You got to look at it. You got to pick. You can't pick it up without looking at it.
It's going to be a hit all the way, but I concur, Russ. I think it should be a double and an error. Kevin Mitchell with his first major league triple. And the batter, Ray Knight. It's a 1-1 ball game, bottom of the second inning. That slider fouled away, 0-1.
Ray has struggled against the Montreal Expos himself, Tim. He's only had 2 hits and 13 at-bats. He has driven in 1 run, but seems as of late to feel more comfortable at the plate. At least he says he does. Went through a little trying period, one of those searching periods we've all had.
Good fastball. 0-2 to Ray Knight.
The one thing that Ray has a tendency to do is to muscle up and try to swing a little too hard. When he does that, he seems to get underneath the fastball, as he was on that pitch.
Buck Rogers in his second year as manager of the Expos. Larry Bernard, the ex-St. John's graduate, pitching coach of Montreal. Seated there, number 36. Fastball is tight, 1-2. Last year, Yeomans was 7-3 at Jacksonville, 3-2 at Indianapolis, and 4-3 for Montreal. Fly ball left center, Rains over. He makes the catch, but Mitchell scores easily, and the Mets are on top, 2-1.
You're going to see a fine piece of hitting here by Ray Knight. That's a tough pitch, down and in. Ray Knight being more of a high ball hitter than anything else. I think he did a real fine job making contact and driving that run in.
And even though there were no outs, Rafael Santana batting 176, so that was really a key job by Knight to get that run in from third. Not that Santana's not going to do it, but the odds go down because Rafi's been struggling at the plate, even though recently he's been hitting better.
And also the outfield is going to be able to challenge Rafael Santana a little more than they will Ray Knight.
Plays shallow, right? More shallow. 0-2 to Santana. The Mets have the lead. The Expos with 1 in the first. New York tied it in their half of the first. And the RBI by Knight to score Mitchell after he had tripled puts the Mets on top. 1-2 to Santana.
Rafael Santana is looking for his first hit of the year against the Montreal Expos right now. He has not had a hit in 11 trips to the plate.
Two and two.
And if Floyd Yeomans is really going to succeed in the big leagues, that pitch he just attempted to throw can be a big part in it. That looked like a changeup to me, Tim. And if he can learn to get that pitch over, that'll be a real big key to his success as a big league pitcher. I think the one pitcher in the big leagues that has proved that is Mario Soto. Although Mario Soto has struggled this last year and a half, I think no one more than him proved that coming up with a good changeup can be the biggest difference in whether you're going to succeed or not succeed in the big leagues.
3-2 pitch, grounded to short. Hubie Brooks, strong arm, gets Santana. 2 away. Matter of fact, the Expos have a pitcher that also exemplifies that same deal, Bryn Smith. Without the changeup, he's got routine stuff.
All the way. He's been able to actually set the fastball up by being able to get that changeup over.
Dwight Gooden batting .085 on the year. 1 extra base hit, that a triple. Lines to right. Dawson's there, however. And Yeomans gets his old battery mate, or I should say pitching mate, same rotation. Mets score 1 on 1 hit. Nobody left here in the second after 2. It's 2-1 New York. We'll be back after this word from Lincoln Mercury.
If you're shopping for a new car, you could race around town looking for a low finance rate, or run yourself ragged trying to find a cash back offer.
Dwight Gooden has struck out 4 in a row, given up 1 hit and 1 run. Tim Raines led off the game with a walk, and he scored on a sacrifice fly by Andre Dawson. 2 other minor league players involved in that trade also. 0-1 to Tom Foley.
Yes, it was Larry Sorensen and Skeeter Barnes, Tim. Tom Foley's season did not open well in spring training. Roger McDowell, with an errant toss, broke his wrist.
That was at Jack Russell Stadium in Clearwater, Florida. 0-2 to Tom Foley. Fastball misses, 1-2.
Well, I'll tell you, I like what I see tonight in Dwight Gooden, Tim. I don't know what they've been doing and how they've been working on him, but he certainly looks just outstanding tonight.
It's like his working of both sides of the plate has been superb. Swing and a miss, 5 in a row. Retired by Gooden. 5.
That's just an overpowering fastball that beats Tom Foley. There'll be a lot of statements if this continues that we're seeing the real Dwight Gooden tonight.
What did you do differently?
Yeah, I threw hard.
Floyd Yeoman's the batter. Floyd with a home run this year, his first in the major leagues. Fastball on the corner. 0-1 to Yeomans.
The pitch that Dwight Gooden seemed to be getting hurt on all the time was the tailing fastball that just seemed to come right back out over the dish. He's not throwing that one tonight. He's really popping the ball tonight.
1-1. I guess you reach a point too, Russ, where you just get mad and you forget about everything. We talked earlier about mechanics and everything. Sometimes you just get mad and go out there and rely on that just raw ability. That was raw ability right there, baby.
I'll tell you, Floyd Yeomans, this is an overmatch. I mean, just watch his knees. Watch his knees right here. Oh, watch it. Oh. He's laughing himself. He knows this is going to be an overmatch, and he's not careful.
Fouls it off. Still 1-2 to Floyd. These two guys, when they were 7 years old, used to tape up a can, and that's what they used for a baseball. Ella Gooden, Dwight's mom, used to fix that can for him, and they'd play from sundown to, or from sunup to sundown. 6 in a row retired by Dwight Gooden. Major league record is 10, held by Tom Seaver. 2 out here in the third.
Well, this is the 4th taking third strike of a hitter of the Montreal Expos. And that's just another overpowering fastball by Dwight Gooden. It's exciting.
Well, he has certainly excited the throngs here at Shea for the last 2.5 years. K Corner rather active tonight. It was certainly active on Wednesday night, the first 3 innings for Sid Fernandez. What about that performance?
That was the weirdest game I've seen in a long, long time, Timmy.
Me too. Fernandez, to refresh your memory, struck out 11 in 5 innings and had 9 strikeouts after the first 3 innings, but was trailing 4-1.
I'll tell you, the K Corner has gotten a little fancy. I think they've changed their signs.
Those look like British K's out there tonight.
Sure, Billy Webb will get a shot of that eventually.
1-0 to Raines. And he fouls it off, 1-1.
You see Bud Harrelson. Everybody.
It's like a crap game over there. What's going on?
Very happy in the dugout. I think everybody's got to be pleased by this start of Dwight Gooden tonight. There you see the K's. We knew Bill Webb would get there.
Those are fancy, man, those K's.
Yeah, I think they have a little fire there behind the ball. Yeah, that's what it is, a little fire.
Either that or a leprechaun to change the luck. Change up. 1-2 to Raines.
Well, Timmy Raines had no idea that this pitch was ever going to be thrown tonight. He's been throwing the ball so hard. He just fooled him completely.
Fouls it off.
I'll tell you, that ball hit Tim Raines about 3 inches above the hands.
Hit him in the elbow, I think.
I know it shook his molars. He's smiling a little bit himself. He knows. Watch his. Oh!
I've heard of getting in the kitchen, baby.
That rattled a few pots and pans right there.
You got that right. That was a pantry right there. Still 1-2 to Raines. Goodness struck out 6 in a row. 2-1. New York on top. Top of the third. Change up is high. 2-2.
2 changes and 3 pitches. Obviously facing one of the finer hitters in baseball, Timmy Raines. Dwight Gooden pulling out all the stops.
His whole arsenal. Breaking ball just misses. 3-2 to Raines.
And Gary Carter gave that one about as good a pull as you could give it.
Catchers don't do that now.
Timothy, I've seen you give a little pull now and then when you were behind the plate. Try to get that inch or two of the outside.
Well, he lost him. Raines is on there. Second walk in a row issued to Tim Raines. Dwight had struck out 6 in a row since the sacrifice fly by Dawson in the first. And here's Mitch Webster. Since Raines didn't run the first time with 2 out, a 1-run ball game, I would think he'd be inclined to go on the first pitch this time.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't understand why Tim Raines is so nonchalant over there. You know, you feel like he should be running and he doesn't.
And he's not. Line drive, base hit, right field. Raines will go to third. Strawberry throws to third. Not anywhere near in time. So Webster with his second straight hit. Neither was hit real well. But
Okay,
a hit nonetheless. Excuse me, Russ.
Well, no, this is a throw that should not take place, truthfully, Tim. There's no way he's going to get. You can see how far Raines is in safe. The only thing that can happen with a throw like that is that you can make a bad throw and wind up having the ball go by the third baseman and a run scoring and somebody else go. In that situation, the ball should just go to second base. You know, Darryl has a lot of, I mean, he has an outstanding arm and probably has as much desire to throw anybody out as he can. But in that situation, you can't let your desires get in the way of what's correct.
That's well put. Andre Dawson, the batter. Sacrifice flying an RBI his first time up. See if Webster runs. He's not running. Fastball outside. It's certainly different with Carter throwing now if Webster does decide to run with Raines on third and 2 out. First time it was first and third and nobody out. So Raines wouldn't have taken a chance to come home. Now he might. We'll see. Looked runnerish, but he held 1-1 to Dawson.
He really did. He jumped off first base a couple of steps there. Looked like he was almost trying to draw a throw from Dwight Gooden.
It did.
They have many plays that can be used right now. One of the trick plays is to have the guy at first base actually fall down and try to draw a throw as the guy on third base takes off the instant the pitcher starts to throw the ball to first base.
Yeah, better used with a left-handed pitcher out there.
Definitely.
Right? Oh, got him. Picked him off. The throw to second, safe. The throw home. Out. 2 former teammates. Credit Webster with a stolen base. And Tim Raines isn't caught stealing.
Timmy, I'll tell you what, on this play, we talked about it. Webster's just trying to get into a rundown. Keith makes the throw. He's safe. And I'll tell you, Timmy Raines could have maybe gone in there if he wanted to be aggressive and been safe. He might have given Gary Carter a good jostle. But he shied away on this. He was going to take the outside approach and try to dive around him. And Gary kind of drifted back to catch the ball, and he was stuck. He had to either try to run Carter over or be out.
So Carter nails Raines on a fine throw by Santana. It's 2-1 New York after 2.5. We'll be back after this word from Express Mail.
Is beginning Thursday, August 14th, in a twilight doubleheader against the St. Louis Cardinals. The Card Series continues with single games Friday and Saturday and concludes in a doubleheader on Sunday afternoon, August 17th. Due to the heavy demand of the Montreal Expo Series, tickets for tomorrow and Sunday's game are available at Shea Stadium advanced ticket window only. For all of the Met games, tickets can be purchased at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or by calling 718-507-TIXX.
All right, Russ, and Lynn Dykstra leads it off for the Mets here in the third inning. Lenny walked, stole a base, scored a run. Back in the first, line drive, foul. Ball hit very sharply. One and one to Lynn Dykstra.
Lynn Dykstra has certainly won the hearts of many people in New York over this last year and a half. Gutsy little performer.
He surely is. Mets on top, 2-1, bottom of the third, and the fastball low, 2-1. I'd like to correct something that I said. Mitch Webster, we are told, does not get credit for a stolen base, even though he was technically in there. But because Raines was thrown out, then Webster will not be credited with a stolen base. Had Raines slid in ahead of Santana's tag, then Webster gets credit for the stolen base, and so would Raines. That went 1-3-6-2 for the putout of Raines. Change up is low, 3-2. Line drive down the line, and it's a fair ball. Dykstra will try to go to second, and then he had a change of heart and legs. Single for Dykstra.
That was...
Let's take a look at Mitch Webster the last time. Russ, it was almost like you were talking about. He took off wanting the rundown.
He certainly did, and on this throw, you can see Timmy Raines wants to go outside. He sees Carter's there. He doesn't... All he can do is run Carter over there or try to stop and hope for a miracle.
Interesting that you were talking about that the minute Webster took off. Got a guy, Andre Dawson, at the plate, who is no slouch as an RBI man. That's where a base runner would leave himself open to second guessing in that situation.
That must have been a call from the dugout. You know, Andre Dawson has been, you know, slumping as of late. He has not been driving in a lot of runs, and that was a call because he almost did it the pitch before.
Fastball way outside. 1-0 to Backman, who grounded out his first time up, but in the process moved Dykstra to third.
And Lenny Dykstra made an outstanding decision not to go to second base on that ball down the line.
Dawson, one of the finest arms in the National League. Yeomans is not a rookie. He pitched 75 innings last year, and one of the qualifications for a rookie in the major leagues as a pitcher is you cannot have more than 50 innings pitched in a major league season. Brooks is back, and he makes the catch. Knocked over by Raines, but Brooks holds on. One away.
Well, they're laughing now, but this is a situation where Ubi Brooks has to back off on this. The outfielder always has the call over the infielder. Now, the center fielder could have helped out there and been yelling a little more. If he had not looked at the ball and checked it out, he realized he wasn't going to have a chance to make that play. He could have stopped that collision. Sometimes if you're not talking, you're actually hurting. If he would have been screaming left field, or Tim Raines, Ubi Brooks might have got off that ball. They could have had a good collision there and dropped the ball.
We have seen a lot of collisions in that area this year.
Boy, it's like
Lynn Dykstra has been involved in a lot of them. Howard Johnson broke his arm when Lenny nailed him. It's a term he is fond of, nails.
Yes.
Here's Hernandez.
Keith singled in a run, a little dunker down the left field line in the first inning. RBI number 43. Almost got him.
Let me tell you, Lenny Dykstra thought he might have been out there too. He's moving. He was going. He was going to go to second base. Oh, I'll tell you what, he got in there, but if Krinchicki was a little more experienced at first base and knew how to throw a quick tag down there, he'd have had him.
Or if he were a left-handed first baseman, he's out. That's why that position made for a first baseman. This guy here will tell you about that.
Now, Keith gets that tag down there about as quick as anybody.
1-0 to Hernandez, 2-1 Mets, 1 out, Dykstra at first. When you see the all-new Nissan Sentra Sports Coupe, you'll say bye-bye basics, hello Sentra. To Hernandez. Tim McCarver along with Rusty Staub and Steve Zabriskie. Steve joins Rusty in the 4th inning. Ralph Kiner up in Cooperstown, as he is every year about this time of year. Induction of the Hall of Fame inductees. Popped up in the infield, easy play for Krinchicki. And he makes the catch. Dykstra back. Fitzgerald coming behind Dykstra. Interesting little play. Lenny almost got too far off. 2 outs.
Good aggressive play by Mike Fitzgerald. You'll watch it now. You see he's kind of going down the line there. Lenny Dykstra, who is out of the picture right now. You see him coming back. Your right fielder sometimes can actually take advantage of a base runner in certain situations, especially if there's a man on second, where the guy at first kind of comes off too far.